Welcome to Gnarly Metal After Hours, a rock and talk show that features conversations with radio announcers, musicians, and fans about radio, rock, and records from the 80s. This is an extension of my Friday night show, Gnarly Metal. Gnarly Metal is more of a music show. Gnarly Metal After Hours, a rock and talk show. This live show airs the third Saturday of every month at 1 p.m. Mountain Time. Thank you for joining us. My guest today will be familiar to you, at least two of the members here will be familiar to you as they've been in previously. It is the band Mad Rygel from Colorado Springs. So I welcome my friends Brett, Mike, and Aaliyah Michelle are joining me today from Mad Rygel. That song you just heard by Peter Gabriel was picked by you, Brett. So why don't you go ahead and tell us what inspired you to put that on the playlist for today's show?
One of the things is that, first of all, it's Peter Gabriel. Secondly, the rhythm part of that and the lyrics, it really takes you brought me into thinking of the Native Americans. And at the time that that came out, I was really into that whole understanding the Native American plight and their history, and looking into my history to see if I had any Native American. But I just loved the drums and the vocalizations that he had. And the message was so etheric, I think. It brought you into a place of thinking beyond or transcending beyond where you were. The rhythm of the heat is being alive. Submitting to trust is something that we all have to do once in a while. And that's a very spiritual thing. That's what really drove me to that song. That's why I fell in love with it.
Oh yeah, like the whole rhythm part at the end, that was very, very interesting. When you hear Peter Gabriel, do you think, tribal drums of this extreme nature, the droning of the bass notes, boom, every time. It's just really interesting to hear that cut from him, because I don't really know all that much other than the MTV Peter Gabriel that you've always seen. That's about it.
Yeah, and I think that's a beautiful thing about musicians, and I know you all can speak to this, but the idea of taking something in a slightly and unexpected direction when you're creating and collaborating with music, I would imagine that's probably one of the most enjoyable aspects of being a musician and being a band.
Oh yeah, whenever you can make a song your own, that's like one of the most fun things. And making a song your own is something that you've written. And then, whenever you play someone else's music too, but it's making it your own, speaking with your voice and not anyone else's voice.
And I think that's kind of what Mad Rygel is all about, is taking songs and turning them mad.
Exactly. Aaliyah Michelle, welcome.
Thank you.
This is your first time here, and I want to... what inspired you to join up with this merry band of misfits?
Actually, lucky enough, they were my fellow coworkers, and I'd been working with them for about, it'll be a year now.
I think so.
Yeah, it's been about a year.
Wow, yeah. So Brett befriended me, and we just hit it off right off the cap. And then Mike, I kind of got to know through rehearsal more so than actually working together, which was funny.
Yeah, I'm always too busy to even stop and talk half the time.
Yeah, they approached me, and I was super stoked, super excited. I was a little anxious about the keys because I'm more vocal oriented, but it's been such a fun challenge and exciting adventure that I've been so grateful
Don't let
to be
her
a
fool
part.
you. She's doing really great on the keys.
I even might ask her to play guitar on a couple songs that I'm thinking of pretty soon too.
She does play ukulele too.
I mean,
Excellent.
I've seen her in there playing.
We might even throw her on the bass, and put you on the sax.
Hey,
Where's this going?
that might be, we're planning out the future right here, right in front of you. Yes.
The third member, Michael Robinson, is a fantastic drummer, but he's also a teacher right now at Vanguard School. He went to college for teaching, basically, and now we met him at School of Rock, but then he moved on to much better things. He's an amazing artist, really fun to work with.
And not just the drummer, he can play guitar, he can play bass, he can play keyboards. Yes, he can. He's very versatile when it comes to being able to arrange music and write music and things like that too.
He hears what we don't and hear what he doesn't, and that's a great combination for collaboration.
We are in the studios today, the Gnarly Studio, with the band Mad Rygel from Colorado Springs. And last time we were here, Brett, Mike, I gave you two an opportunity to introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about your background. One of the things, Brett, that you said that we didn't have a chance to talk about, I'd like to address right now, and that is how the band name came to be.
Mad Rygel. Well, it's a long story. One of our members who decided to leave us, we went through so many iterations of different names, and they were good.
Yeah.
They were fantastic. But he's like always, no, that's just too dark, or that's just too ugly, or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I just got fed up. So I grabbed the book.
You
musical.
threw the book at him.
Yeah, I threw the musical book right at him, hit him square between the eyes. No, so I looked in the musical reference book for all the different terminologies that you could have for music, and then I got down to madrigal, and I thought madrigal, interesting. I'll just split that in half, make it mad Rygel, and there you go.
The only other word we could possibly use for that would be broke. Oh, it's baroque. I'm sorry.
Baroque, yeah. I'm definitely baroque.
Aaliyah Michelle, you had mentioned that Brett and Mike and Michael were coworkers of yours. So for our listening audience, would you spell out the connection between School of Rock and Sunshine Studios, and is that how the three of you or four of you all came to meet up?
Yeah, I started School of Rock about a year ago teaching vocals, and I slowly started working with more and more of the kiddos there. And then I just went to my first show with Sunshine, where my kiddos performed. I believe it was in September. Was that the last show? Yeah. And it's amazing. It's amazing seeing the kids grow and learn, and then finally get to perform and go into their actual rock star states at Sunshine.
And the students that you work with, are they about the same age that you might have been when you found your way into music?
Yeah, actually. Yeah, I was about, I mean, I was singing all over the place when I was a tot and whatnot. And then when I was 10 years old, I did my first musical theater show where I cross-dressed as a man. And I got to be a Captain Pirate on a pirate ship.
Right.
Yeah.
Was it Peter Pan?
No, I don't know what it was called. I can't find it anywhere either. But it was so fun. Very fun.
Okay, on that note, I have a personal question for each of you, and I'd like to imbue the show with a little bit of humor, so bear with me.
I'm single. So, if everyone out there wanted to know.
And now we do.
Yes.
So I will start with you, Aaliyah Michelle. Do you sing in the shower?
Absolutely. Oh my goodness, I sing my booty off in the shower. Yes, that is my safe space.
It's got the best acoustics.
Yeah, what about you,
To
Mike?
me, I mean, like, I sing everywhere in the house, so that
Yeah.
doesn't matter what I'm doing, actually. So, yeah, in the kitchen, singing. In my room, playing video games, singing. Yeah.
Brett, how about you?
Everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere. Yeah, I know she does the same too, just not specifically to
Yeah.
the shower. although it sounds, the tile just makes it sound better.
Sure.
Yes.
Sure.
It's really bouncy.
I don't recommend singing on the toilet.
No.
No, that doesn't work for you?
No, don't do that.
It has a different sound. It's got that low vocal tune. No,
Sure
I
it
don't.
does. My next question was going to be, do you sing in the car? But if you all sing everywhere,
I sing in the
then
car.
yeah.
I sing in the
Yeah.
car without the radio on.
Okay, and your musicianship in the car, does it include what mine does, which are the air drums and the air guitars, if you really like the music you're listening to?
Only the big hits for the drums. So that's
Oh,
the
okay.
steering wheel, pow, boom, boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom. Yeah, things like that. Yeah. Otherwise, I try to, like, hands on the wheel.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
Don't do that, people. Just, yes. No air guitar while driving. It's not recommended.
At a stoplight, maybe.
Okay, if it's a good
Yeah, yeah,
solo.
It's when it hits that dynamic, that climactic note that you really get involved with it.
Yep.
Even when you are driving, somebody sees your head. Oh, yeah! Banging off the steering wheel.
Yes.
You know exactly what you're up to. All right. Generally, when I have my guests come on the show, I ask them to go ahead and put together a playlist. The first song on the playlist that we heard was Peter Gabriel at the top of the hour. That came from you, Brett. This next song, Mike, is the Pixies. Why don't you tell us about this next song we're going to listen to and why you picked it?
I love this song. I first discovered the Pixies probably in the mid 2000s because it was just a whole era of music that I just didn't hear about. They weren't too prevalent of a band on MTV, although they did have music videos on there, but you just missed it because it wasn't like when you're a teenager, you're searching for that teenager sort of thing like that. But apparently these people, 10 years before I was a teenager, had all these incredible songs, and the mix of the male vocals and the female vocals, the dynamic of the band just really spoke to me after knowing what music really speaks to me and what it's trying to say to me.
Excellent. You were listening to Gnarly Metal After Hours on gnarly101.com. Here are the Pixies. You are listening to Gnarly101.com. The show is Gnarly Metal After Hours, the Pixies with Gigantic. That was picked out by our friend Mike here from the band Mad Rygel. So thank you for that great song. Definitely enjoyed it.
Oh, yeah, it gets me pumped.
It does. Well, we've got a song coming up in a matter of moments that Aaliyah Michelle picked out. But before we get there, I want to talk a little bit more about music. And this is a question that I ask a lot of musicians, and it's not necessarily an easy one to answer. Brett, I'm going to start with you. And the question is, who do you think is the most underrated either guitarist, vocalist, or musician of any type?
God, there's so many. Yeah, I don't know. That's a really tough question for me to answer that one. But John Lennon always said that he was not a very good guitarist, but when you look at his rhythms, he was amazing on his rhythm guitar.
Yeah.
He may not have been a very good lead guitarist, but man, his rhythms were amazing.
And
But he's not an underrated musician. I think every musician would say that part of what they do may be not as good as something else that they might be able to do. Like I can do a really good rhythm and I'm learning pretty decent leads and I can do a decent vocal. But then you've got people out there like John Lennon, who was a great writer, pretty decent vocalist, and a very good rhythmist. So I think it's a mix. Everybody has something that's underrated that fits what they do. And I can't really put anybody in any category. I mean, Jimi Hendrix, amazing guitarist. Vocals were not that great. It depends on what you're looking at. When you look at something musically, you have to look at the whole picture. And that's what I would look at, is the whole picture. Can I say that there's anybody underrated? Not really, because what they brought to the music makes that music what it is. And how could you underrate that? Especially if you're out there being published as a recording artist. What the hey, you made it. You know? That's the way I look at it.
Exactly.
So, I mean, there's a lot of underrated musicians that I have met that are amazing musicians that I've worked with around this town that don't even have a recording contract. So what do you say about that? That's where I stand with it.
Mike, how about you?
I always go back to like Kurt Cobain. He gets the acclaim for some things, but when you dive into his whole entire catalog, the first album Bleach, the second album Incesticide, and you only focus on Nevermind, you've missed all of this brilliant songwriting, this trial and error sort of thing like that, this finding your voice at the right time in your life sort of thing like that. It's just incredible stuff, and not much accolade goes to his first two albums, which are, in my opinion, way better than the rest of the albums. But people say the last album was really good too, but I like the first ones better, always have.
Yeah, do you find that commonplace for some musicians? I mean, I feel like for some bands, some musicians, exactly to your point, some of their earlier material is better than what later became popular.
It all depends. I have a friend of mine who says that he really liked that last album, Heart Shaped Box, which In Utero by Nirvana, the most out of all of them. And he's also says like, oh, my favorite Green Day album was Nimrod. Whereas like I say my favorite Green Day album is Warning, but that's another like obscure one that people don't really know that much about too. So, it's a different taste, and like, as long as you can agree, like I like this band because it does this thing for me, and that's and as long as it's a friendly debate, it's always good.
I like a band that can actually grow.
Yeah, that too.
From where they started to amazing heights. That's what I like.
Yeah, there's a progression of talent there.
Bands that are lucky enough to go on that long. That's the main part
that's
too.
true.
Yeah, it's interesting. On the Gnarly Metal Facebook page, I posted a link about an interview talking about the length of times that bands are actually in the music scene, and compared to the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, and even to a lesser degree the 90s, some of the current bands today just don't seem to have the staying power that some of the older bands do. And I don't know exactly why that is, but I think it's unfortunate because, you're certainly channeling all of this creative energy into creating something, and then to have people kind of lose interest in what you're bringing forward instead of saying, oh, wait a minute, I like this band. I want to hear what their new sound is or what their new music is. People seem to be, I don't know, maybe jumping around a little more frequently than they used to in terms of their musical tastes.
Well, first off, it's hard to keep bands together because of finances. That's number one. The music industry is not what it used to be, But then on top of that, it's It's just everyday life gets in the way sometimes. I've heard of bands that have members leave on really good terms just because life got in the way. It just happens. Yeah.
There's a certain magic that certain bands have. I mean,
Yeah.
personalities that can actually almost clash.
Yeah, they do
but,
sometimes.
But not absolutely clash to where you have that creative juice just flowing incredibly. Like the Beatles, I'll use them for an instance. But that stick-to-itness for the full outcome, it recently has not been taken to its full account with most bands.
Yeah.
They get to that clash, and instead of working through the problem and working through the ideas together, they decide to say, well, I'll just go do it by myself because look at all this recording stuff that I can do with all the
Or
apps and everything that I have out there now.
Or you're replaceable, and then you can always find another person. That happens a lot in bands. Just is like you look at Smashing Pumpkins. They just hired a new guitar player for the last tour.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Aaliyah Michelle, how about you? Most underrated guitarist, vocalist, musician. Anybody come to mind?
I would have to say Linda Ronstadt.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh man,
That's a good one.
got all
Yeah.
of us really good with that one.
She got
So-
some attention, but for everything that she did, I don't think she got the attention that she deserved. She was doing, I'm pretty sure she's Mexican American. If I got that wrong, I'm so sorry. But she was doing Spanish for her father, and she was doing musical theater. She was doing her own stuff. She was doing covers. She was doing anything and everything under the sun. And I feel like with vocalists, we get so scared because we feel like we have to be in one set genre, and she just totally broke that. And I think that is so amazing. Just yeah, Linda Ronstadt for sure.
Yeah, an incredible vocalist, as you
Absolutely.
said. And unfortunate that she and Ozzy are now in the same camp in terms of Parkinson's disease. And that's,
Absolutely.
Oh, that's
yeah,
sad.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, who would you describe as a musical genius or virtuoso? I'm going to start with you, Michelle.
Musical genius. Oh goodness.
And if you want to take a pass, I'll go
Mike,
over to
I
Mike.
can passing.
I've got one lined up. I am a video gamer, and I love video games. I've been playing the Final Fantasy series over again, and composer of that music, his name is Nobu Uematsu. Just an incredible melody writer, and he is virtually a self-taught musician. Had a keyboard like whenever he was young, 5 years old, but maybe had just like minimum private lessons, did not go to a formal music school, and became the composer of some of the most well-renowned music that has ever come out of video games for not just 1, 2, 3 games. We're talking a series of 7, 8, 9 games.
That's cool.
Things like that.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
pretty incredible.
Speaking about composers, one of my favorite composers is Danny Elfman.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah.
mean,
oh
totally,
my gosh.
just
What
amazing.
what a genius! Like you say that, you go Danny Elfman. What a genius!
yeah.
Crap! Who could make something so catchy using that diminished fifth, that tritone? It's a musical device that's used a lot in blues music and whatnot. It's meant to give it a sour and foreboding sound, but he uses it as a pop melody. It's insane. It's so good.
He's amazing.
All right, Aaliyah Michelle, I'm going to go to you because the next song we have up is a song by Hall & Oates. The name of the song is called Maneater. What inspired you to say this needs to go on the playlist?
I think, as we know as women, we get a lot of labels of being crazy and being too emotional and being too angry, when really we feel everything just as much as everyone else, if not a smidgen more, but we're allowed to. And I feel like instead of seeing this as, ew, she's a man-eater, she'll break your heart. Okay, yeah, she will. She's allowed to. That's her power. I feel like this is a anthem for women's power. That we're allowed to be those creatures of the night that get angry. We're allowed to be those emotional beings. We're allowed to.
Absolutely. Thank you. All right.
Helen Reddy, eat your heart.
Great take. Yes, that's awesome.
Yeah, it is a great take on it. Exactly right. Here's Hall & Oates on gnarly101.com. And welcome to Gnarly Metal After Hours. I'm your host, Kelly Thomas, and I'm in the studio today with my friends from the band Mad Rygel. They're a Colorado Springs band. I've got Brett, Mike, and Aaliyah Michelle joining me this afternoon for another episode of Gnarly Metal After Hours. Gnarly Metal After Hours is a show that features conversations with radio announcers, musicians, and fans about radio rock and records from the 80s. One of the things that we were talking about during the break is your new member to the band, who is Aaliyah Michelle. And I asked if you play multiple instruments because it seems like everyone in your band does, in fact, play multiple instruments.
Yes, I play multiple instruments. My number one is obviously my vocal cords. And then keyboard. I play a little bit of guitar, ukulele, the spoons, and harmonica. And then I recently just acquired I forgot what it's called. It's like a little picking. You know what I'm talking about?
I have one of those too.
It's not an ocarina.
No,
but
that's
it's
an instrument. It's an African melody instrument, but it's like a percussion melody. How like you take the melons, hit the marimba. Yeah, I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah, my sister just gifted me that
They're
one.
really cool. They're really fun.
Yeah,
Got a neat
I
sound.
love small, weird instruments. Like if it's small and different, it'll probably be in my closet.
Is there one instrument that you have multiple of because it maybe is your favorite instrument?
I do have multiple ukuleles.
Excellent.
My favorite one is my cigar box. It's an electric cigar box ukulele that my sister gifted me. It's amazing.
Sounds like your sister's been very generous and supportive.
Very much so. Thank you,
Had to
Anna.
bring that to band practice one day.
Yeah.
Bring it on Sunday. Okay.
Bring that to band practice so we can
Okay.
start utilizing it.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. Brett, back over to you. Tell me, what kind of music were you listening to in high school?
Oh, crocky.
Again, I put you on the spot, didn't I?
Yeah.
Just
Well,
those 4 years. That's it.
yeah, 4 years. Oh, only them? Dang. Well, it was the Eagles, the Beatles, Led Zeppelin, Moody Blues, Jethro Tull, Black Sabbath. I mean, all the old goods. I was in high school in the 70s and, graduated in 1980, so I had all the best bands.
It's true.
I think you, indeed, had some very good bands. But it's like you guys had described your band earlier. It's generations.
Well, then our band is also eclectic because we like to go back to the beginnings of things. Like recently we're looking at the beginnings of Crossroads and Robert Johnson, and I was listening to his original because we were talking about the Crossroads and everything for bringing that into
And there's
our
a ton
band.
of covers of it.
And there's so many covers. So I went back to the original and listened to it, and it's amazing.
It's so good.
It is really amazing. And so it's getting into the whole aspect of what music, where it comes from. And rock and roll came from the blues,
Yeah.
And that's one, going back to Robert Johnson is going back to the heart of rock and roll.
Yeah. And for me, I grew up in the 90s. I graduated the year 2000 on the dot, just like you graduated 1980 on the dot. It was the weirdest time. It started off with a lot of Metallica, a lot of like Morbid Angel and Deicide and 6 Feet Under, these really hardcore death metal bands and things like that. And then by the end of my high school career, my senior year, I'm buying jazz albums, Jaco Pastorius and Primus and what was another? Bella Fleck and the Flecktones.
Yes.
That's a deep cut, but they're incredible jazz musicians that play or unorthodox jazz instruments and electric banjo for jazz.
Excellent.
Yeah, incredible.
Aaliyah, Michelle, how about you?
I was actually in my cowgirl phase very heavily in high school. So it was a lot of Don Williams, Waylon Jennings, Willie Nelson, Cash, Dolly Parton.
Yeah,
Willie's
which is-
hard to beat, though. I like Willie.
I love Willie.
And
Patsy
Johnny
Cline.
Cash and Patsy Cline. Yep.
Yeah.
I feel like we all maybe have our preference of music that we like, but there's such a variety out there that most of us listen to different genres of music. And if you were to look through my personal music collection, you would find Patsy Cline in my personal music collection, and you would also find Megadeth in my personal collection. So yeah, we're all kind of all over the place, I
But
think sometimes.
Patsy Cline would not have been her without Willie Nelson.
How so?
Oh, the
Blue
crazy
Eyes
song.
Crying in the Rain.
No, it was
And
crazy.
Yes, crazy. He wrote Crazy.
Willie Nelson wrote Crazy.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, my
yes.
whole life's a lie.
No, it's not. It's see, that was the thing to do back then in the 40s, even earlier, the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and even the 60s. You would not believe how many people were covering each other's music. It's just incredible. And you find the original versions, and you can usually be like, well, this artist was so inspired by that song that their version is far superior.
Yeah.
And my best example of that is Chris Christopherson wrote
Yes, I was just gonna.
Bobby McGee.
Bobby McGee.
And it's a great song, but Janis Joplin, her
Janet,
performance of it is
Janet,
just
Janet.
insane.
Elvis Presley never wrote any of his
No.
music.
Barely.
Hound Dog? That's Mama Thornton.
After he made those couple hits with early rock and roll from what was her name?
Mama Thornton? Big Mama Thornton?
Guitar playing Mama Thornton. And after that, he had a songwriting team hired for him, so he
Yeah.
didn't do anything.
Nope. He just sang.
Yep.
And he did a good job of it too.
Oh, he was a great performer.
He was.
Incredible.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to move to a segment of the show that's a little bit more lighthearted. One of my favorite things to talk with people about when it comes to music is what I call misheard lyrics. For example, excuse me while I kiss this guy instead. I know you're laughing already. So anyway, Mike, let's start with you. What do you have for us?
For me, it was a Metallica song, the chorus of Enter Sandman, and it's Exit Light. I've heard eggs it bite.
I haven't heard that one.
I thought he was talking about the creature in a dream biting you for the longest time. Remember, I was in 1991 when that album came out. I was 9 years old. Yeah, so I didn't read lyrics because that was not important to me. Things like that. It was just all about the feeling of the band. It was, in my opinion, like how I started vibing with rock and roll was, my parents played me the Beatles and the Stones and things like that. But it was just like, this is my generation. It's powerful and things like that. But lyrics, I had no idea. He actually has James Hetfield has a very large vocabulary and wrote very poignant things, but just like exit bite.
There you go. Yeah. Aaliyah, Michelle, how about you?
Mine is actually the Addams Family. I grew up listening to Halloween music and whatnot, but there's this one line where it goes, da 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 da, you put your witch's shawl up, da da da. And I never knew that word. I was like, shawl up, what's a shawl up? And I looked it up and it says, put your witch's shawl on and grab your witch's broom. So I was like, oh, okay, that makes a lot more sense than shawl up.
Brett, how about you? What do you got for us?
I've got nothing because I make up my own lyrics half the time.
Oh,
Just like that song, You Are the Wind Beneath My Wings.
yes.
Yeah, well, I said, You are the wind that breaks my cheeks. So,
That's a strong wind.
yeah, you could see that. Put me down!
Getting her mind out of the gutter once again. All right, next segment of the show. This is called Either Or. And let's see, Brett, since we're there, we'll start with you. Beer or whiskey or something else?
Beer, black and delicious.
Okay.
Good stout.
Any particular brand comes to
Well,
mind?
Murphy's and Guinness, and yeah, you know.
Yeah, I do. All right. Mike, how about you?
I'm a beer guy, but I like traditional European lagers. Peroni beer, Italian beer, it's the best.
Aaliyah, Michelle, how about you?
I'm not drinking right now, but when I do, I do like dark whiskey.
There you go. I'm with you. Yeah. So,
There
yeah.
was this rum that these guys told me about. It was called Don Cu rum, and it was from Puerto Rico. And it was a black rum laced with lemons, oranges, and limes.
Ooh, that's good spice.
Yum,
Yeah.
That sounds really good.
And I hear it was fantastic.
It sounds delicious.
But
really good.
it came about because of the pirates.
Yes.
Of course it are.
And
yeah.
they had all those nice citrusy acids in there
Oh,
so that you wouldn't get scurvy.
Mhm.
That's why you
That's
drank
really
your
why they
rum.
drank it. Yeah, yeah.
Now we know. I had some friends in, oh gosh, it's probably been a month now, a group of friends that listen to Gnarly Metal every Friday night.
Right.
And that's my show with 80s hard rock and heavy metal. And I refer to them affectionately as the Brew Crew because they get together every Friday night for beer and bullshit. And they listen to my show. And one of the members is a guy named Headbanger Blaine. And Blaine is similar to you, no longer drinking. And so when I said, what do you prefer, beer or whiskey? And his response was neither. For him, it was sex. So, we all have something that we like to take the edge off or that we enjoy. And it can be good for anybody, regardless of whether or not
Well, you
choose
didn't
beer
give
or
that as
whiskey.
an option, did you?
No.
Jiminy Christmas.
Well, or something else, but I'm already kind of like parched here. I'm like, where's the bar? Time for a beer.
That's right. All right, next question. Brett, starting with you again. Denim or leather?
Well, it depends on the application you're talking about, doesn't it? For a jacket, I like leather. For pants, I like denim.
There
I
you
hate
go.
to wear leather pants, man.
Oh, yeah, jeez.
I've never worn leather pants, so I have no idea what that was like. These leather jackets, they're not all the way leather either, so they have nylon on the inside. But nothing beats a leather jacket in a windy environment, so that's why I like to wear these. They're so great.
Excellent. Aaliyah, Michelle, how about you?
I'm going to say denim for cowboy activities and leather for spooky times.
Final question here. Brett, to you. New York style thin crust or Chicago style deep dish?
Well, neither, because I'm gluten free.
Okay.
But if I had to choose, I'd go with the Chicago Deep.
Yeah, whereas I'm gonna totally say the opposite. Even though my mom was born in Chicago, Cook County resident, that sort of thing. Like I love New York pizza so much. Yes, the thin crust, it's so crispy and delicious. Yeah, Chicago's good, but oh man, if I had to pick between one, New York.
Same over here.
Yeah.
I'm down and dirty with some New York pizzas. Absolutely.
All right. I'm going to close out with a quote. Quote comes from the Purple Man himself, one and only Prince, and he says, "Music is healing. Music holds things together." Aaliyah Michelle, since you're next to me, I'll have you start. What are your thoughts on his particular quote, or any closing thoughts you have?
Yeah, with all the different languages and all the different thoughts and ideas that we have in the world, I think music is the one thing we as humans can all agree on. And I think that's what I'm put on this earth to do. So,
That's beautiful.
This last season, I have an international student, which is a little deceptive. He's an older guy. He's from Sicily, and that's where my great-grandmother was from.
Oh, wow.
And so he's exposed me to all the music there that was popular and things like that. It was just more. It's more than Bella Ciao and other traditional Italian songs. So it's like the actual like rock and roll and progressive bands that came out of Italy. And so I've been having a lot of blast with that. And so to see different cultures and the way they interpret music is just a beautiful thing. It's so cool, and to not be exposed to that, it's it's like not being able to go and travel.
Exactly. Brett, how about you? Closing words, closing thoughts?
Music is a frequency. Frequencies make up everything that we exist in. Go to quantum physics, figure it all out. Everything that is alive has its own frequency. Everything, every planet, everything in the universe. So if you think about it, life is just nothing but one big orchestra.
Yeah.
And when you think about it like that, what we're doing is just taking a little part of that orchestra and making it pleasant to listen to.
Well, I want to thank you guys for joining me today. But before we get out of here, I want to give you all the opportunity to tell people how they can support you, and also to talk a little bit about your upcoming show. You've got a show coming up week after next, I think. Yeah, in 2 weeks. So whomever would like to take the lead, but I want to know social media, how people can get in touch with you, and where they can see you next time around.
Cool. Well, you can look at my Mad Rygel, MAD space RYGEL, pronounced like Nigel, but Rygel. So I gotta say it right myself. On Instagram and Facebook, just search Mad Rygel, MAD RYGEL. We have a show at the Black Sheep the day before Thanksgiving. It's going to be a hoot and a holler, as in like there's some really great local bands and a lot of incredible local talents that are going to be there, just not us.
All right. Now, if people are interested, the show's going to be on November 27th. Aaliyah Michelle, you were telling me doors open at what time?
7, and the show starts at 8 p.m.
Okay. And Brett, you want to talk to us about tickets, because I think that's important too.
Well, tickets, these guys know more about that.
Well, I can go ahead.
But
It's
okay.
it's $10. We have some.
We have tickets. If you want to get in contact us with Facebook or Instagram, we can get you a ticket, $10. And if you order it through the website of the Black Sheep, I do think they have a service fee on there. But it's get them now, because when it sells out, it will sell out and you can't get in. So that's going to be it.
And just to put a plug in for us too, we're all, working musicians at the School of Rock. So if you guys want to learn how to play any kind of instrument there is, come out and look us up, because we're there.
Yeah, if you come to the show and you like what you see, we can show you how we do these things. There's a lot of things that normally you wouldn't think of, and years of experience and years of going to school and years of trial and error, because that's all that life is trial and error. You just got to try it, and if you fail at it, you just try again. Fail harder. Samuel Beckett.
Well, my sincere thanks to the three of you, to Brett, to Mike, Aaliyah Michelle of the band Mad Rygel from Colorado Springs. You've been listening to Gnarly Metal After Hours. This is a live monthly rock and talk show that features conversation with radio announcers, musicians, and fans about radio, rock, and records from the 80s. A replay of this show will be posted to our YouTube channel. The YouTube channel is Gnarly Metal After Hours. I hope to get the replay of this show up within about a week. You can also catch the replay on the Gnarly Metal social media pages on Facebook and Instagram at Gnarly Metal. I'm Kelly Thomas. Until next time, have a great weekend. Peace, and keep it right here on gnarly101.com for the very best of the 80s.